The Gospels tell us about the birth of Jesus. They speak of angels, shepherds, and kings. They tell us of a child laid in a manger, and then, almost suddenly, the story jumps forward. Jesus appears again as a grown man, around 30 years old, ready to begin his public ministry. Between these moments lies nearly 30 years of silence, years that Scripture barely describes. And for centuries, people have asked the same question: what happened during those years? Human beings are uncomfortable with silence. When a story leaves a gap, we instinctively try to fill it. And when Scripture is quiet, questions naturally arise. Did Jesus know who he was as a child? Did he perform miracles even then? Was his divine nature already visible? These questions did not come from rebellion. They came from devotion. Early believers wanted to understand not only who Jesus was, but how he lived.
Patience is the chisel of the Spirit.
To understand these questions, we must remember the world of the early Christians. There were no printed Bibles, no easy access to written Scripture. Stories were passed down orally, shared in homes and hidden gatherings. Believers lived under persecution and uncertainty. Faith was fragile. Hope was often tested. In such a world, stories mattered. They encouraged belief. They explained suffering. They gave meaning to unanswered questions. Before doctrine was carefully defined, stories shaped belief. Narratives helped people imagine what could not be fully explained. And so, alongside the Gospels, other writings began to circulate. These were not meant to replace Scripture. They were attempts to explore what Scripture left unsaid. This is where the Infancy Gospels emerge. The Infancy Gospels are early Christian writings that focus on the childhood of Jesus. They exist outside the New Testament canon and were written generations after the events they describe. Some of the most well-known include the Infancy Gospel of Thomas and the Proto-Evangelium of James. These texts were not written to challenge the Gospels, nor were they intended to rewrite them. They were written to answer curiosity, to imagine what the silence might contain. These writings tell us less about Jesus and more about the people who wrote them. They reveal a desire for certainty, a desire to see power clearly displayed, a desire for reassurance in uncertain times. The canonical Gospels, by contrast, emphasize restraint. They show a Jesus who grows, who waits, who obeys. The Infancy Gospels often emphasize wonder and authority. The Gospels emphasize humility and patience. As the church matured, it became more discerning. Not every ancient text was preserved as Scripture. Some stories, though old, portrayed a tone inconsistent with the teachings of Christ. Some emphasize power without mercy, authority without formation. The church did not reject these texts out of fear of questions, but out of care for faith. Scripture was preserved not to satisfy curiosity, but to guide people toward salvation. The missing years of Jesus' life remain largely unwritten, not because they are unimportant, but because they teach us something profound. That faith is formed not in spectacle, but in obedience. In the next episode, we will look more closely at the stories that tried to fill this silence, and why, even today, they continue to surprise and disturb readers. If you like this story, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. If you are burdened with anything or would like to have a prayer request, comment, prayer, or message us.